Hello and welcome to About 30, a show about men navigating life before 30. I'm your host, Festus, and with me, as always, is my guy, Sepp.
As always, I'm fine.
How you doing now?
I'm doing fine, man.
And with Sepp today,
to
we're going to be discussing what society refers to as the root of all evil, money. Yeah, so Sepp, what does money mean to you? When you hear the term money, what do you think of?
I see money as a tool.
Okay.
So that's where I see money now. Tool that we use to do many things, particularly to solve problems.
Okay.
Economic problems.
Okay.
For me. And but I can go deeper than just the surface. And why I'm saying that is because of the conception and misconception people have about money.
What kind of misconception are you talking about?
One of the very obvious misconception is that money gives you status, It makes you look...
That's new, that's different.
Yeah, so some people just acquire it. They don't use it to solve problems. They may not be using that money to do something very significant, and just so they have the figures and they say, oh, Festus' net worth is $20 billion.
Okay.
Then some other people will just see as a form of security.
I think for me, I'd prefer that second aspect of your own definition.
Yeah.
So for me, money is a leverage.
Yeah.
You understand? Money is that launchpad to do whatever you want to do in life. And I don't see money as anything too spectacular. You understand? For me, character...
Nothing special about it.
Yeah, character comes first before money. Money is just a tool, like you said, and the tool is what you use to do whatever you want to do with life. And of course, people say money cannot buy happiness. Please, money can buy happiness. So don't say money.
Yeah, this thing you just said now is particularly important for many people. I used to say that was before I understood what happiness means.
Exactly.
And the day I realized that happiness is different from meaning, I knew that happiness is just a feeling, and money can give you a particular feeling. So if you're giving maybe $1,000 now that we're having this show, and you're prompted first to check your alert, and you see 20 billion, your mood will change. You understand?
ASAP, guy.
So, and that's happiness.
Exactly.
So you become happy, and the only thing is, it may not give you meaning. And the happiness may be a fleeting one, So,
and that is where character comes in. That is when different values and principle comes in.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about your earliest memory of making money, or your earliest memory of realizing that you need money or you want money.
I would say many people, I think an average Nigerian has a poverty story.
Or let's say a story of lack.
Let me use scarcity.
Yeah, scarcity is much more better.
We didn't have enough, when we were growing up. So I was, most of my sisters, they were selling upper, when we were in the barracks. Then I was hawking pure water, sachet water. After you're done with school, you go and do that. And in fact, 90% of whatever it is you get from doing that's what they used to pay your school fees, your tuition. And it got to a point where we didn't even have firewood to prepare meals. We're going to get sawdust if you go to... So that was when I knew that, we're going through all these things because probably we don't have money. So maybe when we have money, all these issues will be gone. Then it made me to do more with the pure water selling.
So you had to hustle more
mandate of selling just one bag. Then I made a couple of customers. There's one mechanic shop where all I do is just to go there and keep one bag, and then go back.
I think for me, when I realized that I needed money was, from primary school, primary 5, I discovered that my friends, they had their parents would come and pick them up in a car, and they would take them. Their parents would come and pick them up in a car and they would take them home, and myself, I would join the school bus. So that was when I realized that, my dad didn't actually have a car, and I had to be picked from school by a school bus, and also I'll be dropped at home. Yeah. But later on in life, I now discovered that itself is a luxury, because imagine you have a school bus picking you up from home and dropping you in school and doing that again. So that was when I realized that, oh, okay, we didn't really have much money to get a car, a family car, to take us to church and to take us to school.
So was that the point you made that decision that I must make money? Or as at then, it was just more like an experience, knowing that, okay, these kids had these privileges?
I'd say it's an experience. Okay. Knowing where I'm from. Okay, knowing that, oh, my dad didn't have a car as of that time.
Okay.
Yeah. And my friends had parents who shipped them to school or who taxied them to school with a car, with a luxurious car, you understand? And then I realized that I want to have a car in life.
Yeah.
But I remember telling my mom growing up that, Mommy, when I grow up, I will buy you a car. You understand? So I was really inspired to make money I was really inspired to really live a good life.
Yeah.
Or I look forward to living a good life or I look forward to a life of comfort by telling myself that I must buy a car. You understand? And I asked my mom then, what are the things that I must do to be able to buy a car? Yeah. And my mom was telling me that you have to do well in school, you have to have good grades, and you have to go to university, then you have to become a medical doctor.
Yeah. Doctor and lawyer, always the case.
Exactly, before you can get a car.
Well, for me, I think the turning point was one of the days I were asked to leave because we couldn't pay school fees.
Oh,
you know, that was in my GSS, my junior secondary school. And we stayed at home for weeks.
Wow.
And I was boiling, I was upset that, not because of course I liked education, academics, but I was involved in some activities in school, and that was the period. And my dad couldn't raise the money, you know, because we're 9 with some cousins staying with us. So it was a tough time. So that was when I got upset. I said, I must make money. And I would never want to be in a situation where I would want to do something good and money may be the only solution and I'm unable to do it.
As a follow-up to that experience, have you ever been in a situation where you're desperate?
Okay.
When you need to make money, you need money desperately to do something. Have you ever been in that situation before?
Yes, many times. But one very remarkable one, and also very recent, when my mom was in the hospital, you know, although I lost her.
Oh, sorry about that.
So she had brain tumor.
Wow.
And diagnosed of brain tumor. And at Memphis Hospital, and it was supposed to, you know, cost us millions of naira. So, of course, I was working, privileged to be working, but you know what it's like being in Lagos. You spend virtually 70% of everything you earn. But I'm a very frugal person. So I had a couple of funds, you know,
you saved,
but it wasn't enough. Everything
went down the drain.
Yet from the few millions, I think about 3.8 million, they kept coming back. We need this, we need this. I was literally empty. Siblings empty, almost every empty. My dad, you know, retired like close to 15 years ago. So there was no place money could come.
So that time felt that desperation to get more money.
I was desperate. I was like, what do I do now to get money? And most of the time, I don't feel comfortable begging people, asking people for money.
It's not a good thing. As a man, nobody wants to
find yourself in that situation. I was very, very sad about the situation about that situation. You know, but luckily, even though I didn't get all the money, there were a few people that, you know, that goodwill and friends, people that took me as family.
Assisted you.
Yeah, then 2 of my mentors, they knew about my issues, my problems, and they were willing to help me. And they came through with a few, you know, amount of money that helped to a large extent.
I think generally in Nigeria, they always say that you're just one sickness away from, you know...
Sickness is even overstated. You are just hitting
one emergency.
One aboki man out there.
Let's just say you're just one emergency away from poverty. You understand? And that's really quite sad, you know.
Yeah.
You reliving the experience or reliving the memory of going through that, you know, that period, that tough period in your life. I'm not sure I've really experienced that yet. But
and the saddest part is that we lost her.
Wow.
And I still don't know if it's God's will or if we had money and had flown her to a much better hospital, if she had, I don't know. But it still pains me till date. And like I told you, I see it as a tool. I hate it when I see a problem and money can solve it, and I'm unable to solve it.
And since then, were there times where you thought that you could be more intentional?
Okay.
You understand, about making more money or having more tools at your disposal, so that if any emergency comes knocking, you can be able to stave off the
100%.
The emergency.
100%.
And what are the strategies you're using to get more money majorly?
Well, I would say I've been taking the conventional way, which is ensure you have a skill.
Okay.
You have a skill that can be monetized.
Okay.
Or you have value that you can commercialize.
Okay.
And as a 9-to-5 kind of guy, I've been doing that. But I also know that there's this misconception that you can't be rich doing 9-to-5 work. I don't think that's true, because if you're very dedicated and you
very
know
focused,
what you're doing, you can climb the ladder. Just that it takes time.
Exactly.
You get. But there are other unconventional ways that are very legitimate. Such as going the extra mile to take risk in doing some kind of investments, that will pay off.
What kind of investments? Could you be more specific?
Well, it's I trade. I trade shares, stocks.
Okay.
Yes, and sometimes I do. Should I say the mini kind of VC, venture capital kind of thing? Like if I see a friend doing a business and I think this thing is going to bloom, then I just try to put some funds in it. Then after a couple of months or years, I just try to get my return. Then from there, there are other things I do outside work that I try to monetize. Personal skill.
Talking about getting more money, for me, one of the best ways I get more money is through getting gigs.
Gigs, yeah.
So I'm a consultant. Besides doing a 9-to-5, I'm a consultant, and I've worked with the UN. I've worked with big media organizations like Al Jazeera, and most times how I maximize my skills and majorly maximize my skills is through consulting for some of these organizations. And when you earn from them, you earn in hard currency.
Yeah, sure. And once you convert it,
oh my God, don't talk about that.
5,000K.
Don't expose me to our audience, money, so they don't come knocking or start begging money from me.
I know your address anyway. So well, just still on track. Before you made that money, or probably after you started making this kind of money, what was that challenge in your? Like now you become a man. I know the background of scarcity, we both experienced. But what's let's say your biggest setback, financial setback, or biggest challenge? What was it like? What was the experience?
Well,
when did it happen?
I'd say COVID-19. Oh my God. COVID-19 was the most terrible period of my life. Okay. Like everything I had saved, everything went down the drain. And at the same time, I lost a very important job at the time. I lost a job at the time, and because it was COVID-19, I couldn't get gigs, I couldn't get consulting gigs, and that was really the harshest period of my life. Yeah. Because I had to...
So far, because there could be one or two.
Yeah,
ahead.
So far.
And I know you're prepared to tackle them.
Yeah, so far, that was the hardest period, one of the hardest period of my life, because I had to even leave where I was staying. I was staying in a bigger apartment. I left the apartment entirely because I couldn't afford to pay the next rent. Yeah. And I went back home to stay at my parents' house. Wow. Well, I'm thankful that my parents, they have a house that I can fall back on. At least that's a safety net. So I went back home and I went to stay with them. And it was really one of the humbling moments of my life, because imagine you're
up there, exactly, and suddenly you're here.
Yeah, you've always had money, and even though I had savings then, I remember that I had used some of my savings for some things, and I lost my job, and my savings was just, let's say, my daily expenses or my operational costs for the day, right? So I can't take my last savings and I can't use it to go and get another apartment because I wasn't sure what will happen next, you understand? So COVID-19 was that point when I couldn't use my savings to go and rent an apartment, so I had to humble myself and went back home to my parents' house.
That's humbling.
Stay with my parents.
To think the worst thing that will make me go back home.
Oh my God, like I left Lagos entirely. I left Lagos. I went to my parents' house. I was using my savings to do the normal daily
like
expenses, and I was feeding myself. But during that period, you are not in Lagos and you are somewhere out of Lagos.
Yeah.
And where I wasn't really, there's a way that you've stayed in Lagos for so long. Lagos, you become literally a Lagosian.
True.
You want to be going out, you want to be partying, and you're just somewhere in a suburb where nothing happens.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? So that was really humbling for me.
How long did this thing last, this experience?
Throughout COVID.
So let's say 9 months.
From March to September.
Wow.
So I got another offer, I got a job, and I came back to Lagos, then I started working again.
Yeah.
But from March, between those 3 months,
like 6 months.
Those were one of the humbling periods of my life.
Wow.
One of the humbling periods of my life.
And I'm just trying to picture, they always say when things get tough, you go back home.
Yeah.
While you were at home, did you experience any kind of, why are you here? You have to go out. You're a man. You're supposed to go do things, make money, come back. So
I think my parents, they've always been gracious. Like, I'm thankful for that. Shout out to my parents. Especially my mom.
Shout out to mine.
Yeah, especially my mom. Yeah. They've always been gracious. My mom has always been gracious. So for them, they understood the challenge at the time, and they stood by me and they prayed for me, and they were just there for me literally throughout that hard period. You understand? And like they always say, if everything is tough outside, you should go back home. So I'm grateful to God that I had the opportunity of going back home, and I think that was it for me.
But did you try to explore, let's say, kind of a community of brothers? Like, did you have any of your very close friends that you could say, oh, I think I don't want to go back home because I think I want to stay here and fight this thing and get my stuff together? So
coming back to Lagos, I stayed with a very close friend.
Okay.
I came back to Lagos for a few months while I was working. I stayed with him. Then after I was done working, I left. And I got an apartment, you understand? Or while I was still working, rather, I got an apartment. So I would say staying with him was due to his own benevolence and kindness.
Yeah.
Normally I wouldn't want to inconvenience someone.
Yes.
You understand? So, but I think many people out there don't really have that privilege of...
They don't. That's why I asked that question, because many people don't. And sometimes we may and may not make use of the opportunities, but most times they don't. And it's a good thing that you have a guy that when things get tough, you can say, oh, bro, I'm being roasted here. Can you just come through for me? And the guy comes through. Yeah. And sometimes they are not even in a much better financial situation.
At all.
So shout out to that friend of yours.
Yeah, shout out to him. So besides that, were there a situation where you felt belittled because you did not have enough money? I'll start with my own experience.
Of course. Especially in Lagos. Everybody should have, every young man must have that experience. Except you're not in Lagos.
Yeah, so with me, one of the worst experiences I've had because I did not have enough money was I went on a date with someone, right? With a girl, not someone, please.
I masculine male man.
No, exactly. I went on a date with a girl in Lagos. And the moment I arrived in the taxi, the first thing she asked me was that, I thought you were driving, I thought you had a car.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow. I was quite, I don't know how to say it, but I was surprised because I never knew when car became one of the metrics for let's say, becoming a good partner or becoming a good boyfriend.
I told you about status. That's what most people, they don't care that my own is just to arrive and go to a date with you.
Exactly, so and get to know you.
Must I come with my car?
Exactly.
So,
in fact, imagine if I had the kind of disguise, that means you failed the test at the point, exactly. You understand? But it was really one of the worst experiences because I was taken aback. It was one of the cultural shocks, even though it's not surprising though, that I went on a date and the first question he asked me was that I thought you had the car, I thought you were driving. So as we are going back now, you're not going to drop me at my home. We're going to enter a taxi. I was really shocked and didn't really expect it from that person, to be very honest.
Yeah.
What was yours?
It's quite unfortunate. Well, I had a similar experience, but the way it happened was I was asking for direction and she sent. So she now said, just put on Google Map, then you come so place. So I told her, that I'm not going to take Google. I'm not going to take because I was.
You're not mobile.
I'm not mobile. I didn't even say mobile is. I'm saying I will not take both.
Okay.
That I want to take Umbrella, So commercial bus, and she was like, seriously? I said, what do you mean seriously? I don't have a car. I'm not mobile, and I don't have money for both. I didn't put it this way, but I don't think I want to take both yet. So she said, She said, okay, no problem. She called the call. Then
and that was it?
Her. Yeah, that was it. I called her later. She didn't take the call. I just
wow.
I said, thank God for this red flag. And that was it.
That was
and I had no intentions for dating. I thought
just to meet the person as a friend
and talk.
I think that's what dating should be about. Not all dating should lead to the actual dating. Sometimes it's just to get to know the person. Of course,
get to know someone then.
Exactly.
I wasn't yearning for a relationship. I just said, okay,
let me get to know this person.
Let me get to know this person, then I would know. But that was just a sign, and it was terrible.
Now that we both have money, at least we have some.
I don't have money.
At least we have some.
We
have some. What are those habits that you've built that have made you to become more financially prudent? So I will start with myself. For instance, when I started making enough money, then I realized that I needed to have a budget, a monthly budget. Then I realized that I needed to save a lot.
Massively.
Exactly. Then I also realized that I needed to start investing the money that I've saved, because there was a time I had a ton of savings and I didn't know what to do with it. And it was a friend who advised me that, okay, you know what, you need to have an emergency fund stashed somewhere. You also need to have, let's say, you need to also invest in investment that are not too risky, like stocks, for instance. Then you also need to invest in real estate. So that was later, after 2020, after the huge financial setback. So I created an emergency fund. Then I have a monthly budget. Then at the same time, I started investing in real estate. Of course, all thanks to you. I started investing in stocks too. All thanks to Sepp. He's a financial guru, and he's the person who handles our financial nuggets at about 30. So, but for you, for you, what is that? What is your own experience?
Yes. So I think, in addition to everything you said, because I think we are at par, in terms of the financial aspect.
Exactly.
I would say two things that have helped me massively. One is my innate ability to be frugal.
Okay.
Then contentment.
What do you mean by innate?
Some people find it very difficult to spend below or within their means.
Okay, I love that.
Some people find it difficult. So for me, it comes very easily. So if I make 10 naira, I already know that, man, you don't have to finish this 10 naira.
Exactly.
So before I even went into finance.
And that's where budgeting comes in.
That's where budgeting.
So you can't go to a club now and splurge, for instance.
And I don't go to where I know that
will finish your money.
It's going to finish my money.
And there are many of those places in Lagos.
Just step out now, you'll see. Then the other one is contentment. And many people don't have that. That's knowing that, I know I really want this money, and I'm making massive efforts to make more so I could solve more problems and be in a much better position, gain financial security, freedom, all those things. But at the same time, I look at myself, I say, man, don't be too desperate for money. It's just a tool. So you have some now, or the little you have, be content, and while it's just to balance the ability to say, okay, let me just be thankful for what I have, make do with what I have, while I chase for more.
I think contentment is very, very important, because we live in a society where people want to have almost everything. They want to drive the luxury cars. They want to go for vacation. And it's very important that you are contented with what you have already. And talking about the worst experiences, what is the worst money experience you've had?
I'm saying this thing as a financial guru, people would laugh, but that's also part of the learning curve. And it's Ponzi.
Wow.
It's Ponzi, and it's not once.
Are you serious?
So twice.
So the MMM was majorly the popular one.
MMM. And that time I had not even started working. That was
2016, 17.
Yes, school time. But I was doing some small work, and I had a couple
disposable
of
funds.
Yes. And I started growing this money, growing it from, you get, and I knew many people. So all these 10%, you do, I don't know what you call it, downliner.
Yeah.
I was using that 10%. I was
You're getting more money.
I grew my money up to around 3 point something.
Then you poured everything into MMM.
Everything was there, and MMM that gave me the money. So there was no enterprise if it's P2O. So I just and MMM said, no, we gave you this money. Can we take it back?
And they took it back from you.
Everything. You know the worst part?
Yeah.
I was so greedy that other money I was making outside MMM, I was still dumping everything in.
Wow. Because
my plan was, this thing can give you 30% in a month. Run it in a year, 30 times 12, you know what it's like. So just be dumping it. That was how I was growing the money, even everything. So when it happened, the last card I had, home and abroad, was around 11,000.
Wow.
Home and abroad, like everywhere.
From 3.5 million naira to 11,000.
11,200.
You must remember the digits.
It's a painful because I cried. Like, I was like, where do I go from here?
Wow.
It was a very sad experience for me. And I thought I had learned my lesson.
Then again, it happened.
It happened with another one.
Where was that?
That was just 2 months after I buried my mom. Still,
2021, 2022.
Late, I think 3 months, 2021. Late 2021.
That's like 5 years after MMM.
Yes. So I thought I learned my lesson, and I thought I was smarter. You get. But these guys, they came with the fact that, our interest rate is very low, and you need to just 5% per month. Then I said, okay, this is fair.
Then and I put invested your money there.
But the most painful part was that other people that trusted me said,
also piggybacked on you and
see, this is what I'm doing, and it could be risky, but you can come in. And that was how everything crashed.
You took all of them there.
And so
now talking about
this one happened.
So talking about this mistake, what are the habits you think one could build to become financially sustainable, or what are the habits you think one can build to become financially literate and financially responsible? So can you just list them quickly before we round up?
I would say many of them. I'm trying to know how to rank them. So in terms of, I would say the technical, the hard skills and the soft skills. We've spoken about the soft skills.
So that's the foundational one.
Yes, be content. Then don't be too greedy, because greed can make you do silly things.
Okay.
Then on the other side is to learn how to make legitimate money. Okay. You don't have to go into fraud. You don't have to start doing illegitimate things. You don't have to kill someone. You don't have to do all those silly things for money. Exactly. Because some of the guys that went into rituals when Mercedes 230 was the thing. Where is Mercedes now 230? Same thing. Some of the cars that are in vogue now, in 5-10 years, they will be worthless. So then the other one again is on the technical aspect. Learn how to save.
Okay.
Something
it's very important.
Do very well.
Yeah.
So you save before you even begin to spend.
Invest.
You learn how to budget.
Exactly.
So that at least even after spending your money, you can comfortably say, this is where my money went. This is what I do.
You can trace the loopholes.
This is what I do. And this is how I can control and manage these expenses.
Yeah.
Then learning how to invest. Then to learn how to protect your funds. So these are just the basic fundamentals of personal finance. So that's just what I would advise, them.
Okay, guys, I've been having a very insightful conversation with Sepp. So far, we've talked about what money means to us. We've also talked about the habits and also the character you need to build to make money. First of all, you need to have a skill. You need to save the money from the skill that is earning you that money, right? Then thirdly, you need to, you don't have to be greedy as well. Then at the same time, you need to invest the money.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you need to diversify it. Thank you so much for staying with us. And thank you so much, Sepp, for today's episode.
Thank you, bro.
It's always insightful linking up with you and having this conversation with you.
The memories we shared now is important.
Thank you so much. And until next time, we look forward to having you on our show. Thank you so much and have a nice time. Bye.
Thank you, guys. Peace.